So, what if an AI could do more than just read your notes? What if it could actually research with you, create with you, and maybe even think with you? Well, today we're going to unpack the incredible 3-year journey of Google's NotebookLM. It's a story about a tool that started as a pretty simple experiment and grew into something that feels like a genuine cognitive partner. To really get this story, you have to rewind your brain to early 2023. You remember, right? Generative AI was suddenly everywhere, but it had this massive, glaring trust problem. It would just make stuff up, confidently. We call them hallucinations, and they made AI totally unreliable for any kind of serious work. So the big question on everyone's mind was, how in the world do you get an AI to just stick to the truth? This problem forced a huge philosophical shift over at Google. You see, instead of trying to build another all-knowing oracle, one that pulls from the entire internet and makes you fact-check every single sentence, they asked a totally different question. What if we built a focused, personal research assistant that only knows what you tell it, an AI grounded in your reality? And that idea right there was the game changer. So this new commitment to trust kicks off the first chapter of our story, building what they called a grounded brain. The experiment, which they first called Project Tailwind, was designed from the ground up to be an AI you could actually finally rely on. The secret sauce that makes this all possible is a technology called source-grounded AI. Now, the idea is actually pretty simple, but it's really profound. You basically lock the AI in a little sandbox with only your documents. That's it. If the answer isn't in your specific sources, the AI literally can't invent one. And this became the absolute bedrock of NotebookLM's trustworthiness. Okay, so here's how it actually works using a process called RAG. First, you feed it your sources, docs, PDFs, whatever. Then, when you ask a question, it zips through and finds only the most relevant little snippets of text. Next, it builds an answer for you using only those snippets it found. And, this is the most important part, step 4, every single answer comes with a clickable citation that takes you right back to the exact passage in your original document. It's designed for total transparency, no black boxes here. All right, so they'd solved the trust problem. The next big hurdle? Scale. And in June of 2024, one single number changed absolutely everything. 1 million. That was the size of the brand new context window that came with the Gemini 1.5 Pro model. So what does a 1 million token context window even mean in the real world? Well, think of it like the AI's short-term memory suddenly becoming gigantic. You could now upload an entire textbook or hundreds of dense research papers, and the AI could connect the dots across all of it, without ever forgetting what it read on page 1. It was a huge leap. So at this point, the tool was trustworthy, and it was powerful enough to handle huge amounts of information. The foundation was solid. But the next feature they added, that's what took it from being a niche tool for researchers to a viral cultural phenomenon. In late 2024, NotebookLM rolled out a feature called Audio Overviews. And look, this was not your standard robotic text-to-speech. No way. The AI would analyze all your documents and then generate a fully scripted conversational podcast between 2 AI hosts who would actually discuss, debate, and explain your material back to you. The reaction online was just immediate and electric. People were absolutely floored by how human these AI hosts sounded. I mean, as this Reddit user put it, they weren't just reading a script. They'd use filler words, they'd interrupt each other, they'd even sound surprised. Users quickly nicknamed them Brad and Jen, and listening to them felt less like using an AI and more like tuning into a real podcast. It was wild. And of course, Google just ran with this success, adding all kinds of new formats. You could get a quick 2-minute brief, you could have the 2 hosts critique a piece of your own writing, or you could even get them to stage a debate, taking opposite sides of an issue using only arguments they found in your sources. All that viral growth was really the perfect launchpad for the next great leap. NotebookLM was about to transform from a passive tool that helps you understand stuff you already have to an active partner that helps you go out and create and research entirely new things. And the pace of innovation in 2025 was, well, it was just staggering. I mean, look at this. It kicks off with video overviews in July, gets supercharged with a crazy new image model they called Nano Banana, and then culminates with the launch of deep research agents by the end of the year. Just boom, boom, boom. This meant that suddenly you could go from a messy folder of raw notes to a polished documentary-style video explainer.
And because they integrated this powerful new image model with the very creative name Nano Banana, you could pick an artistic style, like a whiteboard animation, and the AI would generate beautiful, consistent visuals for the entire video. But the most profound shift of all was deep research. Just look at this comparison. Before, your job was to go out, find all the sources, and spoon-feed them to the AI. Now, you just ask one broad question. The AI agent then goes out, scours the web all by itself, reads and synthesizes dozens of sources, and builds a comprehensive, fully cited report for you. It's a total paradigm shift. Now, as you can probably guess, these incredibly powerful new features were part of a new business model. Google split the product into two tiers. And while the free version stayed really capable for everyday stuff, the truly game-changing features, like making hundreds of audio overviews or using that deep research function, were reserved for the paid NotebookLM Plus tier. So this brings us to the tool's final form, where all these different pieces, the trust, the scale, the creativity, and this new agency, all come together to create something that feels less like an app and more like, well, a true cognitive engine. And to cap it all off, in late 2025, NotebookLM basically got a brain transplant. It was upgraded to the Gemini 3 model. And while all the previous models were great at summarizing things, Gemini 3's real superpower was something much deeper: multi-step reasoning and complex logic. So what does reasoning actually look like? This is a perfect example. You can just dump total chaos into it. Messy meeting transcripts, random notes, scattered email threads, and it can actually reason its way through all that unstructured content to produce something perfectly structured, like this clean data table that organizes every action item by who owns it and when it's due. You know, when you step back and look at the whole journey, the transformation is just incredible. In only 3 years, NotebookLM went from a simple little tool for asking questions about your notes to a comprehensive partner that can research new topics for you, create new audio and video content, and even reason through your most complex, messy data. I think this one phrase from the source material just perfectly captures the entire journey. It went from a tool that reads for you to one that researches and truly thinks with you. And that really leaves us with one final and kind of provocative question. As these cognitive engines get more powerful, more integrated into our lives, and more capable of complex thought, you have to ask yourself, will your next research partner, your next creative collaborator, be an AI